Have you ever found yourself in a relationship where every day feels like a battle, where you're constantly doubting your partner's fidelity, only to be accused of cheating yourself? Or maybe you felt like a third wheel in your own relationship, manipulated into competing for attention. Today, we're going to dive deep into the toxic tactics narcissists use to manipulate their partners, focusing on their cheating behaviors, the insidious practice of triangulation, and the psychological concept of projection. Cheating is one of the most common and devastating behaviors exhibited by narcissists in relationships. Narcissists have an insatiable need for validation and admiration. One person's attention is never enough, so they seek out multiple partners to feed their ego. But this isn't about love or connection. It's about power, control, and constant affirmation of their self-worth. Consider this heartbreaking experience shared by someone who dealt with a narcissist. He carried on a full-blown relationship with another person, met my family, met theirs. He would copy and paste the things he'd say to both of us. He was seeing at least 5 or 6 other women too, and messaging around 20 or so women on social media, sending explicit messages. I was blindsided. This is a pattern we see over and over again. Narcissists creating multiple relationships simultaneously, deceiving everyone involved. But what makes this even more insidious is their use of projection. Projection is a psychological defense mechanism where someone unconsciously displaces their own feelings, desires, or behaviors onto someone else. In the context of a narcissistic relationship, this often means that the narcissist accuses their partner of the very things they are guilty of, like cheating. Projection allows the narcissist to avoid confronting their own unacceptable behaviors or feelings. They deflect attention away from their own actions, making you question your own reality.
He accused me of cheating so often that I began to question my own sanity. I knew deep down that I hadn't done anything wrong, but the constant accusations chipped away at me. At first, I defended myself. I thought that if I just explained things clearly enough, he'd understand. But no matter what I said, his suspicions only seemed to grow. It started with small things. An innocent glance at someone, a text from an old friend. He'd say, "Why are you always looking at other men?" Or, "I saw how you smiled at him." Each accusation felt absurd, but over time, it wore me down. I began second-guessing myself, questioning my every action. Was I being too friendly? Was my smile too long? I'd replay moments in my head, trying to figure out where I went wrong. I started to watch myself carefully around him, making sure not to say or do anything that could be misinterpreted. It felt like I was walking on eggshells, always anticipating his next suspicion. He would go through my phone and emails, searching for some kind of proof. I started hiding things, not because I was guilty, but because I couldn't bear the scrutiny anymore. Every time I had to justify a simple message or explain why I spoke to someone, I felt like a criminal. I wasn't living my life for myself anymore. I was living it to avoid his accusations. The worst part was how his words stayed with me, even when he wasn't around. I'd lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, replaying our arguments in my head. I used to believe that we could get through anything, but now all I felt was distance between us. He wasn't the person I fell in love with anymore. His eyes, once warm and full of love, had grown cold. His suspicion had turned me into someone I didn't recognize. One night, after a particularly bad argument, I locked myself in the bathroom and just broke down. I sank to the floor, my chest tight, gasping for air as I cried. I felt powerless, exhausted. When I looked in the mirror, I hardly recognized myself. I was so tired of defending myself, tired of trying to make him believe me. Tired of living in constant fear that one wrong move would set him off again. It hit me then that I had lost myself in his accusations. Every time I tried to prove my loyalty, another piece of me disappeared. The woman staring back at me in the mirror was hollow, a shell of who I used to be. I had been living in the hope that he would change, that he would finally trust me. But I realized that hope had been slowly eroding me. I wanted to leave, but I didn't know if I could. I still loved him, but I wasn't sure if love was enough anymore. I wasn't even sure who I was without him. but I knew I couldn't keep living like this, trapped in a cycle of doubt and mistrust. Something had to change, but I wasn't sure if I had the strength left to make that choice.
When a narcissist projects their behaviors onto you, they create confusion and self-doubt, keeping you on the defensive and less likely to notice their own wrongdoings. Over time, this constant projection can lead to significant emotional and psychological damage. Victims may begin to internalize these false accusations, leading to anxiety, depression, and a distorted sense of self. It's a vicious cycle that can be incredibly difficult to break free from. Another weapon in the narcissist's arsenal is gaslighting, a tactic designed to distort your sense of reality. Gaslighting involves the narcissist denying your reality, twisting facts, and making you question your own memory and perceptions. He would say things like, "I never said that," or "You're imagining things." Gaslighting is incredibly damaging because it erodes your ability to trust yourself. The more you doubt your own perceptions, the more control the narcissist gains over you. If you feel like you're constantly second-guessing yourself or wondering if you're losing it, you might be a victim of gaslighting. Recognizing this tactic is the first step to regaining control over your own mind. The cycle of love bombing and devaluation is a classic tactic used by narcissists to keep you hooked. In the beginning, the narcissist might overwhelm you with attention, affection, and grand gestures. This is known as love bombing, but once they feel secure in your attachment, the devaluation phase begins.
At first, he was everything I ever wanted. Attentive, loving, and always making me feel special. But slowly, things changed. He started pulling away, criticizing me, and making me feel like nothing I did was good enough.
This push and pull dynamic keeps you on an emotional roller coaster, constantly trying to regain the love and approval that was once so freely given. It's a deliberate strategy to keep you dependent on their validation. Understanding this cycle can help you break free from its grip. Remember, true love doesn't come with strings attached or a constant fear of being devalued. The silent treatment and stonewalling are two other powerful tools of manipulation used by narcissists. The silent treatment involves completely ignoring the victim, refusing to communicate or acknowledge their presence as a form of punishment. Stonewalling, on the other hand, involves deliberately blocking or avoiding conversations, shutting down discussions to evade accountability.
He would go days without speaking to me, acting like I didn't exist. I felt invisible, desperate to understand what I had done wrong.
The silent treatment and stonewalling are designed to make you feel powerless and unimportant. The narcissist uses these tactics to assert control, leaving you to feel isolated, anxious, and desperate for resolution. But it's crucial to recognize these behaviors for what they are: manipulative tactics meant to destabilize you emotionally. Setting boundaries and refusing to engage in these games can help you protect your mental health. Blame shifting is another common tactic used by narcissists. Rather than taking responsibility for their actions, they'll twist the narrative and make it seem like everything is your fault. Whether it's an argument, a mistake, or even their own harmful behavior, they'll find a way to make you feel guilty.
Every time something went wrong, it was somehow my fault, even when he was the one who messed up. He twisted around until I felt like I was the one who had to apologize.
Blame shifting serves two purposes for the narcissist. It deflects any negative attention away from them, and it keeps you in a position where you're constantly seeking their approval. Over time, this can severely damage your self-esteem and sense of justice. Recognizing blame shifting is key to breaking free from narcissist manipulation. Understand that you are not responsible for their actions and refuse to accept blame for things that are not your fault. Protecting yourself from a narcissist's manipulation requires setting strong boundaries and, in many cases, cutting ties completely, as one survivor put it. "I wish I would have left him for good the first time he cheated, but it really is an addiction being with someone like this, and the high was just too good. But just like when you get a really good high, you know that a really horrible low is about to hit you too." Surround yourself with supportive people who understand what you're going through, and don't be afraid to seek professional help. Healing from narcissistic abuse is a journey, but it's one that leads to rediscovering your self-worth and building healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Therapy can be incredibly beneficial in helping you process your experiences and rebuild your sense of self. Support groups, both online and in person, offer a safe space to share your story and connect with others who have been through similar situations. If you haven't already, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to Toxic Truth, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. And remember, your journey to healing starts with understanding, so take the first step today. Stay tuned for our next video, where we'll take a deep dive into the Darvo tactic, a method narcissists and other abusers use to deny their actions, attack the victim, and then turn the tables to make themselves appear as the victim. Understanding Darvo is crucial for recognizing the full extent of narcissistic manipulation and protecting yourself from it. See you next time on Toxic Truth.